submitted on Facebook, and the company was looking to see, and I'm going to grab my phone here just to do the question justice, but looking for some help running a report, want to see how many estimates that are sent daily by their sales person or manager. They had a previous process, but they are lacking the detail and data that they need in the report. So what we're going to do here in Callahan's Corner, where you ask the questions, we answer them live on Facebook. We're going to dive into the SA Service Autopilot Report Center and actually build this out. And depending how it goes, we may even throw it on the marketplace and give you a free download of this report. So not a lot of content around the Report Center in the SA ecosystem right now. So we thought we would go ahead and pay it forward, as we always do, and peel back another layer of Service Autopilot and its robust features. So without any further delay, we're going to hop the screen and pop it open and dive into the Service Autopilot's new report center and build out this company's request for doing a daily report of how many estimates were sent. And I'm going to be able to dial into the status of sent, lost, or won for those estimates that have been sent on a daily basis. So hopefully this will help this question submitted. So we're going to grab the next screen here and drop it in. So the first thing we want to do is go to the report center in Service Autopilot. And as you're building a report in Service Autopilot, there's several different layers of complexity. So the first thing of complexity is an analysis, and then a report pulls the different parts of an analysis. So we're not actually going to build out the report, but we will build the analysis that would actually be pulled into the report just for time's sake, because obviously this could be a pretty timely video if we went in and built out the actual report and sucked it in. But we'll make a subsequent video either later this week or next week, how to build out a report when we suck the different analyses in out of the report center. So let me just open this up here. So if we have any comments or questions in the live stream, happy to answer those as well. So the first thing we're going to do is scroll down. The little toaster icon here that I'm kind of hovering over is the pre-canned SA reports, but we're going to go in and actually create an analysis. These are the SA reports that are pre-built for you, but we're going to create a custom analysis that would eventually drive into a custom report. So right now we have an untitled analysis. We want to click up top and at least label this. So I'm going to put estimates sent per day report, and we'll save that. So now we know exactly what that actually, so we're going to actually call this estimate sent per day analysis. And then we'll name the report appropriately. So the next thing is we need to go in and actually select a data set. So the first data set that we're looking for this company is they want to know the estimates sent. So we're going to go into the data table of estimates. And that's going to open up a lot of different options here for us. So in this test account, we got quite a bit of data. So this may take a minute or two to really load all that data in here. But once we get it in here, there's certain things we want. So we're going to go to all and deselect that. And the things for this requested thing is date closed, estimate date, estimate status, and I want to know the projected revenue and probably the sales rep. Those are the key points of data that we're going to need for this request at Callahan's Corner. The next thing is we're going to select another set of data, and we're going to go into estimate client lead. Once again, it's going to pull up the whole complete data set. So in this requested data set, we are probably going to want everything listed here, but we do not want the estimate lead data for the sales rep, because we want the sales rep on the actual estimate itself. This sales rep here is going to be the sales rep on the contact record. So we're looking to see who is the particular sales rep on this particular estimate, not on the lead or client record. So that is the only checkbox here that we're really looking to deselect, because we do not want the sales rep on record and the sales rep on the estimate. What we're looking at is who actually sent the estimate, and that's going to be done on the data table of the estimate, not the lead or client. Now, the last data table that we should be looking at here probably is the estimate line items. We kind of want to see what's going on as far as revenue or projected revenue in the sales pipeline or funnel. So as we're going in here, we want to probably deselect all of these. I'm going to go into line item name, and I'm going to go into the status. So is it sent? Is it draft? Is it won or is it lost? Those are the things we want to know. And what is the total of that estimate? So we've got those 3 data points here, and then we're going to hit OK. Obviously, continue down to custom fields, but that's really not applicable to here. But if maybe we're doing an analysis going to report for production rate based estimating, turf square footage or home square footage may be applicable. But if we're just looking at estimates, that custom field is probably not applicable. So we're going to hit OK. What that's going to do is compile these 3 different data tables into a report. And we have got a whole bunch of different fields here, as you can see, that we need or don't need, and they're probably not in the order that really makes sense for what we're doing. So what I'm going to do is go into the gear icon here, and I'm going to either hide or show all columns. So we probably now, as we're looking at this, may have some data here that we may or may not need that we've already selected up top. So if, as a proof of concept, you selected some stuff up top that you may want in there, but you don't want to show in the actual columns of the report, we can go in. So what I'm going to suggest in this one here is let's get rid of service address, city. Maybe we want postal code because we want to know what area they're in. Service state, unless we're working in multiple states, we probably don't need that. And source, yeah, that might be interesting. What marketing source they came from. So was it a referral? Was it a 9-around? Was it a flyer? Every Door Direct? Whatever that may be. So those are some things that we may or may not want on there. Item, line item status, total, we probably want those. Date close, we would probably want that as well. So this looks pretty appropriate to what we may want. So the first thing that the gentleman or lady requested on this Callahan's Corner question was, well, we wanted to go into the sales manager or sales rep. So the thing we want to look at is who is the sales rep on this actual thing here. So I've got Christine and myself and a few others. So we're going to go in and grab the sales rep because I think that's probably the most important piece of data here. You grab those 6 little bars, we can grab those over and get that in there. So the next thing is in the red is we probably want to go in and do type. So is it a client or lead that we're actually dealing with here? And we have clients and leads. Next thing is probably when was the lead acquired? So this is going to give you an idea of, okay, when did the estimate request come in? When was the lead acquired if it's a brand new lead? And when's the estimate date? So if it's a brand new lead, how long was that period to actually go in and actually get that estimate in? Now, this is a test account, so some of these dates may not line up, but the idea is if it's a new lead, when's the estimate date? And now we have an idea of type, lead acquired, and how long did it take to actually get that estimate out. So a great example here is this lead came in at 4/3, and it took us basically 1 day to get that estimate out. Now, the next thing is, when is the date closed? So when was it closed? Was it won, lost? What was the status? What was the date that we closed that out? And then we want to go into estimate status, won, lost, or possibly even draft, depending on where it's at. So the next thing we're going to look at is the line item. So what service was it? And we probably want to know the total. So we've got the service, the line item, and we're going to go back in, and you can see these are color coded from each data table, so it makes it a little bit easier here. So now I've got line item total, and I probably want to go, next status is projected revenue. And I would probably want to go in and have estimate status here tied in right after date close. So we know what happened when they closed it. Line item, total, projected revenue. And we're going to pull in the client's name next. And their phone number in case we want to follow up. Maybe that's not important. And then we're going to go in and grab the postal code. So maybe where are we closing in each postal code? And next thing that we would probably want to grab is maybe the source. How did they hear about us? Now we got some other things here we're going to collapse down once we update the check boxes up top that we tried to hide. Next thing is the line item. So is it quote draft, or where is the status on that? Now, obviously, this is a test account, so you may have some interesting data. But cancellation reason, client since, email, these guys here, we've already deselected up top. So this is data we probably don't need to look at, but it's there in case we need it. So if we hit OK, it is going to update that table and suck those down and leave them there, but in the back end. So now we have all of the pertinent information that we may want to look at in this analysis. So who's the sales rep? What type? Is it a lead or client? Date acquired, estimate date, date closed, the estimate status, won, lost, or sent, the line item, the total, the projected revenue, the client's name, their phone number, postal code, the source where they came from, the line item status based on each line item in the estimate, cancellation reason. We probably don't need that, client since, and email. So we're going to go in and grab cancellation reason here, deselect that, and hit OK to update this once again. And now this report or analysis basically is starting to come in and make some sense. So now that we have this, we've got a little more refining that we actually need to do. So the next thing is we probably want to do is go in and create some filters. So what we do is we scroll up and create a filter here. And the first one is going to be probably estimate date. So as we go in, we probably want to go and filter the column, estimate date. And the question was asked is the estimate date equals probably a sliding date. And we want to make it probably yesterday. So it'll give you the information from the previous day every time you update this in a report. So we're going to go in and add that in. Now, on today's date, it's the 4/30, so it's going to give us the data from 4/29. So I can run this report the morning and say, okay, where did this happen? So we can slide in, and we've actually got some decent amount of data here now on 4/29. So the estimate date, the date closed, the status, the line item, the total projected revenue, the client, postal code, and everything else as far as sourcing. Now, obviously, this is a test account, but we can now see that we have Kevin as the actual sales rep on the estimate. Let me see if we've got enough data where there's maybe another salesperson on here. So Kevin is one of our new hires at Simple Growth, so it's potentially just him. But the idea is that we're going to eventually want to group this out. So if you have multiple sales reps, and it looks like during my training, I'm actually a sales rep on some of those estimates. So that's perfect. I'm going to show you how to segment this out. So the line status is, right now we've got several of these that may be to draft, depending on where we're at. So we want to add another filter, and I want to filter the line item status. So we're going to go in and go to line item status, and we're going to say it is equal to a value, and we're going to hit those 3 little dots or 4 little dots there, and that's going to load. It's going to take a second to pull that table in, but we want to say it is set to quote and add that. Now, if the status is set to quote, we're going to get the data on there. So that's going to pull that in as lost in one, and we've got that quote there. So that may be a value. So you want to go in and define what the line status is if that's how you want to filter it. So I'm going to remove that just so we have some data in there. But that's how you would filter down on different line statuses depending on how you want the data to show in your analysis. Now, the last thing that we're going to be looking at here is we've got a decent amount of data, and we figured out through the filter a sliding date range that basically goes to the previous date. Now that we've got this, we want to go to the sales rep and actually just click in this column, and we want to hit group. And what that's going to do is group all our sales folks together. So now if this individual asks this question has multiple sales reps or managers, they will have all the sales grouped together based on that sales rep right here. So as I go in and click through this, it is going to be grouped by the sales manager. And we can sort it A to Z if we wanted to. So depending on how many sales reps you had, we can alphabetically group it and then sort it. So that is one way to do it, depending on how you actually want this data to show. So once you've got that in there, depending where it breaks, you will see the sales rep's name. So that's a great way to see if you have multiple sales rep, how that actually all breaks out and to get that data. Now, if you didn't want to do that, you can go in and say no sort, and we'd unsort that. And go back to sales rep, and you could remove the group. But grouping is going to group all the sales from each sales rep, and that's going to give you that ability to scroll through and actually grab each sales rep. Now, being in this test account, we may not have a sales rep on the estimate, so it could be blank. So I'm going to scroll through here for a couple of these pages to see if we can pull up right here. This is my stuff up and above. Now below is probably Kevin's. Now, the one main thing that you want to do is once you have this analysis set, and then you would name it, obviously, you would go in and create a report and pull this analysis in. But before you can pull the analysis in, we need to go in and create a visual gallery. Paste that in and hit done. And I'm not going to get into the intricacies of building a report, but that is the foundational part you need to have done in the analysis. And then when you go in to create a report, it's a drag and drop visual gallery where you actually take that widget and drive it up top. So I'll show you the basics of it really quickly. We're going to add a new visual. And estimate sent, we're going to hit add, done. And there it is once again. And then the interesting part is once you actually go in and estimate sent the past day with a recent essay report, the automation to actually fire off a report to a certain person each time works now. So if we went back to the home icon, we can drive back in and estimate sent. So this green little guy here is the analysis. The white paper is the analysis, is the actual report. We can go in and hit the timer, schedule from to subject, the orientation, the message, and either to send it once, weekly, or monthly. And you can go in and dial in here to send it daily, say at 6 a.m. So your daily estimate sent or accomplished report as well. If you want to dive into a little more analysis or detail, something that's definitely way out of the scope of this video is you can do a case statement to actually figure out your closing percentage for the day or the week or the month. So something to watch out for. And we're going to be releasing some new functionality in 20 days to close shortly with reporting on our automated 20 days to close sales pipeline as well. So something to keep an eye out if you're a Simple Growth client. Any comments or questions, drop below here in the live or recorded session. The last thing I want to show you is if you go up to the avatar here and go to the marketplace, I did take the liberty of 20 days to close. Actually, hold on. So we have, it looks like the Simple Growth team is actually hard at work while we're building this. So they've actually uploaded 3 more things while we've been live on the thing here. On the Facebook Live. So we want to go for the daily estimate analysis, click in view. And if you go down and hit the download code, if you fill out this information, the thank you page, after you fill that out, will give you the download code to download the free estimate, or actually the free analysis that was asked on Callahan's Corner. So really appreciate that question. Great question. Callahan's Corner, you asked the questions. We answered live here on Facebook. Coming back again tomorrow. with another great addition to Callahan's Corners of your submitted questions. How to run service autopilot to improve your service business, whether it's lawn care, home cleaning, pest control, or any other service business. Simple Growth is here to help you take your life back from your service business. We'll see you again tomorrow on Callahan's Corner.